All right, we just got this C63 in for a diagnosis for some kind of drivetrain vibration. We just drove it and it's in limp mode. So we're gonna hook up the scan tool probably and see what fault codes are there. But just to look over the rest of the car, this is my first time ever working on this one. So just to get a baseline inspection and check everything out. The first thing I noticed when we removed this top engine cover is there's a little bit of oil sitting here on the top of this cylinder head. So I don't know if that valve cover is starting to leak or what, but you can probably see that better from down below. Also notice, I think this intake manifold's been painted, at least repaired, because there's some masking tape holding on what I guess was a broken off section there where that stud goes in that holds on this bracket. See, apart from that, there's a little rust built up on several of these components, but not enough to cause any damage. These front timing covers are leaking a good bit of oil. You can see maybe the grimy buildup there on the front and all that buildup. It's like that on both sides. Let me see if I can get a focus on this one because it's pretty bad down there. No, probably not. I'll probably be able to see it from down below. It's leaking a pretty good bit. But it's just these covers here. They go in the front and it's sealed with like a little rubber gasket that gets hard over time. But if this valve cover is leaking, that would kind of, be the better of the two, because you could take this off, replace that seal, take this off, and reseal all that together and clean off all the oil. Check these linkage rods. Make sure none of those are broke. This connector is broken. Bottom here, that's what's supposed to hold it into its bracket. These vacuum lines are starting to show a little age. Some cracking in this one, for example, like right by that holder. You see a little crack starting to form there, but they're not cracking apart or anything. There's no need to replace those based on that. These intake tubes that hook in here on the front plates, they get brittle a lot of times, especially on the bottom as a heat soak, but neither of these do. These still look really good and pliable. I did notice this top strut hat nut cover is broken here. All this plastic's broken out. It's supposed to look like this. Well, the back of that one's broken. That whole thing's open. So no big deal on that. I guess the struts have been out before, judging by the paint messing around these bolts. Okay, and then the last thing I noticed on this side is the dipstick handle's broken off in the dipstick tube. And then one other thing on this side as well. The bolt for this line bracket is not tight all the way. Whoever was in here last, you can see the metal isn't flush with each other, like the two halves of that bracket. So we'll just tighten that up some so that that line is firmly held in there in this bracket. But that's all for up here. We'll get it lifted up, check the tire pressure, and see if there's anything under it. One thing I forgot to note, but I realized when I was leaning over the car, just checking over the rest of it here before I point this out. All this looks good. It's just, well, this seal's torn. About halfway through the thing. Maybe the whole thing. No, it stops about right there. This seal's torn. This one's okay. It's intact all the way around. Let's see. But anyways, this panel here is loose from there. It's not broken, it's intact. So is the piece under it, but the clips are there on those. Just missing this, just missing that clip here. But it should hold in. The rest of the panel's all there. The rest of it's all firmly intact. And this refrigerant sticker is starting to flake away. This is the label that shows all the information about the refrigerant. so it's starting to come off. But anyways, very, very minor stuff. Okay, just gotta lift it up. Gonna go through everything here. We got a zip tie holding some of the bumper structure to the bumper cover here. Nothing there, nothing there. Oh, that's broke off. So the two that are remaining are just zip tied on. Fender liner clip missing from that side and that side. I wonder what the history is on this thing. But all the undershield screws are there. This one kind of looks like it's been replaced. It just looks newer than the rear one. Speaking of the rear one, it's got one of the 4 bolts on the front of it. You can see a lot of oil buildup here too, coming from those timing covers. So it's a pretty good bit of it if it's getting the undershield wet. And this screw is missing too. So this undershield has one of the 6 screws that it's supposed to have. The rear one, missing that one. And that's it. So a good bit of hardware missing from up here. Okay, now check out the suspension. Look at all these ball joints, which look good. It's currently wet outside, so a lot of this stuff, no mistake for leaks. I don't know if it's leaking or not. These bushings are starting to show some age on them with the cracks starting to form, but not enough yet to be concerned about. See the one on this side. This one is ripped. You can tell these front ones here are gel filled, and you can see it's starting to ooze out there from that middle crack, if I can get a focus on it. Okay, there you can see the cracks from the inside part and the outside part of this bushing cracking apart. These bushings are serviceable though, so you can just take this control arm out and press in new bushings and then readjust the alignment. The rest of the ball joints all look good, no issues there. Sway bars, can't tell if those are factory or not. Regardless, they're okay. The boots are intact there, not leaking or anything. This isn't the same sway bar. But one of these has been replaced with an aftermarket one. You can see how thick this rod is, and even like the construction of the joint back here. This one, totally different and a lot thinner. I hope they're at the exact same length because that'll definitely cause suspension issues. But the shocks look good. The shocks aren't leaking or anything. Let me check this rear bushing on this one. Yeah, that looks fine. I don't see any issues with that one. This one also looks good. Okay, now check out the bottom of the engine. It is pretty wet down here. A lot of oil. Back of the engine. It's even dripping all the way down the side of the head. You see the oil here on the back of the cylinder head. Check out this side. It's about the same way. You can see a leak path there that stretches all the way down the side of the cylinder head. I don't know why we keep unfocusing and refocusing, but I hope you can see what I'm referring to. There's a lot of oil down the side of the engine and everywhere up in there. This oil pan is substantially wet though. Here, let me take off this undershield and make sure that's not also a secondary leak. Okay, I just got those off, and yeah, they are pretty caked on with oil. But let's see here. Oh, let me be careful not to get dripped on by all this. You can really see how much all this stuff's leaking. It's getting on the power steering rack, messing up this boot. It's still intact, but rubber definitely, oil definitely softens rubber quickly. Even these sway bar bushings have oil in them. It'd be nice to fix that oil leak and get this stuff cleaned off as soon as possible before it starts damaging all this stuff. And like, for example, the bottom of the alternator is all wet with oil and everything. Okay, now to look back here. This seam looks dry, so it wouldn't point towards a rear main seal leak. which is an expensive one, so that's good to see. But there's a lot of oil all around here. We've got whatever contraption that is holding this drain bolt in. I don't think that's a factory drain bolt. It's definitely not a factory washer. So I wonder if that's not sealing right. But there's so much oil above it. There's not really enough oil. I'm leaning towards this lower oil pan, the black one, that seals onto the upper oil pan. That's probably what I'll say. Yeah, there's not enough oil up above it to say that there's anything up there, but it's so hard whenever you have multiple oil leaks because it just drips onto everything, especially an oil leak that's very high up like that timing cover. So it'd be nice to fix that timing cover, reseal this. I'll probably replace that dipstick tube grommet there, this little black ring here, just because it's cheap and easy and in the same vicinity. And then clean off the engine bay, degrease everything, and start from a fresh slate. And if there is any other additional oil leaks, you'll be able to tell on your next service, like a year from now, if there's any oil from anywhere else, you'll be able to see where it's coming from. We've got this tie that does nothing at all. Whenever you take this apart, this is like a 4 or 5 piece mechanism here that holds on the exhaust brackets, so it does come apart. So someone probably zip tied that together so it all stayed together, and then once they put it back on, they forgot to cut that. I guess I'll leave it on. Not my car to be cutting stuff off of. Okay, another thing, this gel filled, like these front bushings here, are the motor mounts, and you can tell this goo here leaking out of them, so the motor mounts are blown. But I didn't need to see that to tell you, because even when I was driving it, it was very clear that the motor and transmission mounts are collapsed. There's a lot of vibration resonating through the chassis. You can see this one looks like it's bleeding, but it's just that gel that's inside it. Speaking of that, you'll replace that and this transmission mount together. This transmission mount doesn't feel nearly as bad, so I wonder if someone just replaced that without doing the motor mounts, which you're never really supposed to do. They all work together. There's one in the back and then 2 in the front that support the engine and transmission. So whenever you replace just the transmission mount, now the back half of this sits way higher than it should, and it messes up the driveline angle. You can get more wear on this drive shaft and the rubber discs and things. And with it having a driveline vibration, that's definitely not going to help that. If anything, it's going to add to it. The O2 sensor wire isn't quite clipped into place. There. The transmission looks good. It's leaking a little bit, but every time you do a transmission service and change the oil and filter, you change this rubber gasket that goes around and seals the pan, so it gets a reseal every transmission service. But I'll piece the service records together on this car too before I send the estimate for all this other stuff I'm finding, to see if it's behind on any service. But regardless, as long as it's not pouring out, then it's not to be concerned, because it gets replaced with every transmission service. Okay, working back now, checking out this rubber disc and this shift linkage shaft. I meant to check that out too. It seems pretty loose, but it's in place. But you have these rubber grommets that hold it in place. And this one I can see is starting to crack. Let me see if I can get my flashlight in there and get a good angle on it. So it's this little blue disc there. You can see it gets brittle and begins to crack apart. And it's starting to break apart. But that's what holds this shaft, which is what connects the shifter to the car to the transmission. So whenever you shift into driver, reverse, or neutral or whatever, this is the linkage rod that links those two together. And those little bushings wear out in them all the time. Now this rubber disc on the back of the drive shaft, this is what attaches the drive shaft to the transmission. You can see it's starting to develop a couple cracks in it. You got one forming there that's pretty deep. One forming there on the bottom side of that blue bolt. And in between too, those are getting pretty deep. Usually the rear ones wear faster than the front ones, but with uneven mounts, like I said, the whole thing's gonna sit different and be holding this drive shaft at a different angle. Let's see if I can and get a good feel of the center support bearing, which I was curious for this drivetrain vibration anyways. That feels okay. It doesn't feel like there's much play in the drive shaft. And then yeah, this rear one's pretty bad. You can see here, for example, how deep those cracks are. Got some here, some up there. So yeah, I'd go ahead and replace both these discs on the front and back of the drive shaft. Let me check out the rest of the back of the car. These axles, axle boots, they all look good. Nothing back there. All the bushings in the back look good. Yeah. That one's starting to crack out a little bit, but not to be concerned with yet. That still has probably several years left on it. The rear suspension on these don't wear very much at all. That looks good. Shocks aren't leaking or anything. Subframe bushings look good. Okay, let me check over this side. All these bushings. Yeah. This is broken. There's supposed to be a little holder that holds the, there it goes, holding it in place. Well, never mind. I thought it would. It's supposed to hold that like that, but as you can see, it's one of the tabs are broken off that, so it's not holding it like this. It's supposed to hold it firm like that, but no big deal. The rest of these bushings look good. Shock's not leaking, brake isn't leaking. Yeah, everything else looks perfectly fine. Check over these tires. Oh, this one's completely bald. Maybe 1 millimeter worth of tread left on that one. Same with this one. Good to see they're even at least. Good brake life, if I can get a good sight on that pad. That one looks okay, maybe 30% life or so. The outside pad, it's about the same. The one on this side, a little lower than the other side actually. But still not enough to be concerned about. I'd say maybe 20% live. Maybe towards the end of this year replace them, so 6-7 months they'll probably be needing to get replaced. Okay, then just let me check over these under shields, make sure all the stuff is there, since the front under shields are missing so much stuff. Basically just make sure nothing's hanging off, touching the wheel, anything like that. Like this, for example, is missing a clip, but where it's supposed to go, this side skirt is broken, so that's not gonna hold a clip. That bottom one's there, that bottom one's there, that clip is here. The rest of it all looks good. In the front too, I was gonna check over these tires and brakes. These are perfectly healthy, like 70%, 80% life, I would say. These brakes, looks like these pads have been replaced recently, and not these rotors. There's a pretty decent lip on the outside of the rotors. The outside pads look good. I'd say 80% life or so. Yeah, that pad looks good, and that outside pad, yeah, looks perfectly healthy too. So does that tire. Well, now that I'm really looking at this, that bushing is cracked on that sway bar. Yeah, that side too. I'm gonna get a focus on this and you can see what I'm talking about. Some of these bushings are split designed, but this is not part of the design. That's cracked apart there. Yeah, it's all the way through. And that side as well, you can see right here. Right here's what I'm talking about. So yeah, a good bit of repair items needed around the car, but now to hook up the scan tool, see what this check engine light's on about. I'm sure it's going to relate to whatever drivetrain issue this is. Hopefully it'll be sort of two things in one. If not, then there's going to be two separate issues, but it has to be something in the transmission. This doesn't have an electric diff like the 205 chassis, C63 wheel, so it's all mechanical after the transmission. So if it's something mechanical, it's going to be drive shaft, differential, axle, something like that. It's not four-wheel drive, so it's only, you know, the output of the transmission here back. Or anything inside that is probably just simply going to warrant a transmission or torque converter or something of that nature. But I guess let's see what this fault code is, and we'll go from there. Get that diagnosed, get all this stuff pieced together, see what the service records are looking like, make sure it's not overdue on anything else, and then get all that sent to the customer.